What's up everyone, my name's David. Welcome back to my channel. Stocks. They're expensive, complicated, and too time consuming to learn. Those are some of the things you probably heard about stocks, but I want to change your mind about that. I believe that with just $1,000, this is the first step for you to be an investor. With just $1,000, you can be a stock investor. Crazy, right?
Crazy, right? Crazy, right?
And it's pretty simple. All you really have to do is smash the like button. Just kidding. Liking the video and subscribe to my channel will just help me share the content that I create. So if you can, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. All kidding aside, this is my recommendation of how you should invest your first $1,000. Index fund. What is an index fund, you ask? Think of an index fund as just a bundle of stocks that are put together to match a type of investment or an index. A very popular index that's being followed by many investors is the S&P 500. The S&P 500 is the 500 largest companies that are in the United States. A couple of reasons why a lot of investors try to match their investments to the S&P 500 are, this index has been shown to grow consistently over the years. On average, the S&P 500 grows consistently roughly between 9 to 10% a year. Some years are good, some years are bad, but this is the average return that it creates over the years. Another reason is diversity. By diversity, I mean risk. Since the S&P 500 is 500 of the largest companies in the United States, it spans between all different industries. Some of those industries are agriculture, retail, tech, and traveling, and many more. The thought is that if your investments are diverse, you're able to mitigate or lower the risk. Meaning that if you're able to lower the risk, you're able to consistently grow over the years for your investments rather than having a large spike for 1 year and then a large decline for another year. Enough talk. Here are my recommendations for the index funds that you should invest with your first $1,000. The first index fund that I recommend is FXAIX or FXAIX. To start off on a good note, this index fund doesn't require any minimum balance, so you can invest as low as 1 share, 2 shares, 100 shares, whatever you want. The expense ratio is pretty low too. It's at 0.015%, which means that every $1,000 that you invest, you only pay 15 cents. Yes, 15 cents. When you hear expense ratios, I want you to think this as the fee or taxes that you pay for management for just managing this type of index fund for you to invest into. Currently, right now, the cost is $124 per share of this index fund. And if you're looking for investments or index fund that has low fees, this index fund is my recommendation for you. The second index is VTSAX or VTSAX. Unlike the index fund before this one does require a minimum balance. The minimum balance is $3,000. So your initial investment has to be a minimum of $3,000 just to invest in this type of fund. But on the bright side, it still has a relatively low expense ratio of 0.04%. And is priced at roughly $89 per share of this index fund. Some of the companies that are in this index funds are Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Facebook, and many more that you know of. Overall, this index fund is pretty balanced. It doesn't have a high expense ratio. On top of that, the cost per share for this index fund is relatively low. And research this index fund to see if it's a good match for your investments. The third index fund is called SWPPX or SPACs. This index fund is really great too because there's no minimum balance that are required to invest into this fund, and the expense ratio is low too. It's at 0.02%. Currently, at the time that I'm recording this video, the cost of the share of this index fund is at $55. Besides being the most affordable out of all my recommendations, I found that the issuer of the index fund, or Charles Schwab's, their website was pretty easygoing and pretty friendly for any new investors that weren't familiar with any of the technical jargons that finance people talk about. And it's pretty chart friendly. So if you're new to investing or prefer visuals or charts, check out this index fund by Charles Schwab because it could be a good match for you. Overall, index funds are simple, easy, and affordable. So it's a great way for any new investors or any investors that don't want to be very active in terms of their investing or researching, that they can get into stocks without all the hassle. My recommendations for the index fund that you should invest into are by Fidelity, Vanguard, and Charles Schwab. My preference would be the index fund that was created by Fidelity, just because one, it has very low expense ratio, so I'm not paying as much in terms of fees towards management, and also it's been very easy in terms of customer service, and the website is very intuitive and easy to understand. So those are my recommendations for the index funds that you should invest into with your first $1,000. And like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps with me creating the content that I create and sharing to anyone who needs this information. Please do the research ahead of time, and feel free to comment down below if you agree with the index funds that I recommend or have any recommendations of your own. As always, stay fresh, stay awesome, take care.